Your heart is racing. Your palms are sweating. You just read a text message. No lion. No cliff edge. No blade in the dark. Just 3 dots on a screen that took too long to turn into words. But your body doesn't know the difference between that silence and a predator in the grass. It never learned to. Because the wiring inside your skull right now was not built for text messages. It was built for something far older, and far stranger, than anything you'll face today. You are walking around with a survival system tuned for a world that no longer exists. 200,000 years ago, your ancestors lived on the open savannas of East Africa. The grass was tall. The light was fading. And somewhere in that grass, something with teeth was watching. In that world, hesitation was a death sentence. A rustle in the brush had to be answered in a fraction of a second, not with a calm assessment, but with a full-body eruption of energy. Blood left your stomach and flooded your muscles. Your pupils widened. Your breathing sharpened. You were, in that instant, a different creature than the one who had been calmly chewing roots a moment before. This is what the physiologist Walter Cannon named, back in 1915, the fight-or-flight response. He was studying how animals react to sudden threat, and he found something remarkable. The body doesn't wait for the brain to finish thinking. It acts first. It reasons later, if it reasons at all. That system saved your ancestors' lives, over and over, for hundreds of thousands of years. It is the reason you exist at all. Somewhere down the line, someone in your bloodline felt that jolt of fear at exactly the right moment, and ran, or fought, or froze, and lived long enough to have children. You are the descendant of every correct guess your ancestors' bodies ever made about danger. But here's the strange part. Here's the part that should unsettle you a little. That system was never updated. It is still running. Right now. Inside you. And it cannot tell the difference between a lion in the grass and a red notification bubble on your phone. Think about the last time you felt your stomach drop. Maybe it was an email from your boss with the subject line, "Can we talk?" Maybe it was your phone buzzing at 11 p.m. with your child's name on the screen. Maybe it was simply walking into a room where everyone stopped talking at once. In each case, your amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons buried deep in your brain, lit up exactly the way it would if a predator had stepped out of the tree line. The neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping this exact pathway. He discovered that fear doesn't start in the thinking part of your brain at all. It starts in the amygdala, which can trigger a full-body alarm before your conscious mind even knows what it's reacting to. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that reasons, plans, and says, "Wait, this is just an email," gets the signal only after your body has already started preparing for war. Which means, in a very real sense, you are always a few steps behind your own fear. Why does this matter? Why should you care that a system built for lions is now firing off because of your inbox? Because your body was never designed to run this alarm all day, every day, for years at a time. The endocrinologist Bruce McEwen coined a term for what happens when a stress system built for short bursts gets left switched on for the long haul. He called it allostatic load. Think of it like a smoke alarm that goes off for a real fire once a year, but in the modern world, it goes off 50 times a day. Eventually, the wear from constantly reacting, whether or not there's ever an actual fire, starts to break the system down. Elevated cortisol. Disrupted sleep. A heart that works harder than it should, for threats that were never physical, and never real. Here's the twist that most people never stop to consider. In the world your body was built for, a threat had a beginning and an end. You saw the lion. You ran. You escaped, or you didn't. Either way, it was over in minutes. Your body would surge, then settle. Surge, then settle. That was the design. But modern stress doesn't end. It doesn't resolve. The traffic doesn't clear the way a predator disappears into the brush. The deadline doesn't retreat once you've outrun it. The argument with someone you love can replay in your mind at 2 a.m., days after it happened, and your body responds to the memory almost as intensely as it responded to the original moment. The biologist Robert Sapolsky, who spent years studying stress in wild baboons, put it plainly. Zebras, he observed, get stressed, run from a lion, and then go back to grazing within minutes, as if nothing happened. Humans are different. Humans can turn on the exact same stress response just be. Why thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, and might never happen at all? A zebra never lies awake wondering if it left the lion on read. Sit with that for a second. Your imagination alone, without a single real threat in the room, can trigger the same biochemical storm that once saved your ancestors' lives on the savannah. Worry is not a modern invention. It is an ancient alarm system, misfiring in a world made of screens and schedules instead of grass and shadow. So what do you do with a body like this? A body still listening for lions in a world made of Slack notifications and mortgage payments. You cannot uninstall the system. It is far too old, and far too deep, for that. It sits beneath language, beneath reason, beneath your sense of who you are. But you can start to recognize it for what it is. The next time your heart pounds over something that cannot actually hurt you, you can pause and ask a simple question. Is this a lion, or is this a text message? That question alone begins to close the gap between your ancient body and your modern life. It will not silence the alarm completely. Nothing will. But it hands a little bit of power back to the part of you that can actually think, the part your ancestors were still growing when the lion stepped into the grass and their whole lives depended on a system that couldn't wait for thought. Every time you feel that jolt, that tightening in your chest, that surge of heat behind your eyes, you are feeling something that has been passed down through thousands of generations of people who survived because their bodies reacted before their minds caught up. It is not a flaw in you. It is a gift from every ancestor who made it through a night you will never know about, in a place you will never see, running from something you will never have to face. Your heart is racing again. Your palms are sweating. You just read a text message. And somewhere underneath the panic, if you listen closely enough, you can hear it. Not a lion. Just an old alarm, still doing its job, in a world that finally, quietly, stopped needing it to.